Hi, I'm Mike Lardy.
I'm Daniel Mears, and today we're talking about the game plan. What is the game plan? What's the church's game plan? Well, if you look across America, and all of us have visited different churches and been a part of different churches, maybe even been members of other churches, we know that across America, of the thousands of churches, nearly every single one of those churches has some type of different direction or vision or is named what's important to them, and that's their game plan, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they're going after. Well, if you've been a part of Woodlands for a time, it should be no surprise what our game plan is, what we're doing, right? The way we're playing the game that God has given us to play is that we are making disciples. Now, that's no surprise to you, right? That's no revelation. But here's the thing. I didn't make that up, and neither did Mike, and neither did the elders. God gave us that vision and that game plan. And he didn't give it to us in some dream or in some prophecy. He gave it to us in Scripture. Jesus said it. Go and make disciples. He said that to his disciples, which was then carried out by the church, which should also be carried out in every church today. So the cool thing about being the church today is we don't have to guess about what we're supposed to be doing. We don't have to guess about the game plan. Our game plan is simple. Go and make disciples. And it should be the same for every church in America and across the world today. But the even better part about such a simple game plan is that Jesus didn't stop there. You see, Jesus spoke through a guy named Paul in the New Testament in the book of Ephesians directly to church leaders and told church leaders what their game plan was or maybe what their part of the game plan was. What is my job as the pastor? What's the job of the leaders and the church leaders? Well, we're the coaches. And as coaches, Paul tells us very clearly what role we're supposed to play in the game plan. He says it's your role, the church leader's role, to train, equip, and lead by example so that the church, which is you, all of you, can get on the field and play and make disciples. And so it's our job to teach you, show you, and train you. Now that doesn't mean that we don't work. We work very, very hard. And that doesn't mean that we don't make disciples, because we're all making disciples. Okay? But what that means is our primary job as part of the game plan that God has given us as the church leaders is to train you, teach you, and show you. And if we do that, that's the beginning of putting the game plan in place.
And so, if leaders are doing their job, if coaches are being biblical, then they are developing their team and releasing them to play as a team. Scripture paints a picture of the church coming together to work together to accomplish God's purposes in the world. And so, I want to draw a distinction. Do we go to church or are we the church? So the difference is, if we go to church, well, what's expected of us? We just need to show up, right? Maybe we need to volunteer, or somebody will ask us at some point to volunteer. Versus if we are the church, well, then what happens? We are given a part to play. And so the coach's job is to make sure that everybody knows their obligation to the team, because the team owner purchased the players for a very high price, the highest price, Jesus. And so it is the coach's job, the leader's job, to then raise up, train up, and release a team.
All right, so you're getting it. There's a game plan. God has given it to us, and we all need to play our part. So what's the part that you can play this week? What can you do practically this week? Well, first of all, if you're a disciple maker and you've launched your group, or your group is launching, make sure not only are you going through this process of making disciples, but your disciples know that you care about them. Don't just make them feel like they're part of a program or a process, but actually love them. Be praying for them. Talk to them and call them other times of the week than just your group, so that they know that you love them. Tell them you're praying for them, and tell them you're thinking about the stuff that they've been talking about at group, and you just want to know how they're doing. That's a great way that you can continue this process and be a part of the game plan and be on the field. But if you're on the other side of the equation, where you want to be a disciple maker, you're ready to charge at it, you want to get on the field and run the plays and play the game plan that God has given us, but you're not quite there yet, that's okay. You can get started as well. In fact, it's fairly simple. God has laid people on your heart and on your mind whom he wants you to disciple. They're in your life. There may be one or two of them, there may be 8 or 10, but all of us have those people in our lives that God has laid on our heart. And you can get started right now by doing this. Begin to pray for them. Begin to see them. begin to talk with them, become an intentional, important part of their life so that they begin to see you as someone in their life that they can confide in, that they know that loves them, and that they know that they can talk to no matter what's going on in their life. That's the beginning parts of becoming a disciple maker. And so this is what I want to challenge you with right now as I leave. Down below, there's a section for comments. I want you to tell me and Mike, who is the person that God is laying on your heart? And if you don't feel like you should name them by name, that's fine. Just make up a name and tell us how God is laying them on your heart and why God is laying them on your heart. That'll really be encouraging to Mike and I and to the others who read those comments, knowing that all of us have those people on our heart. And we'll be praying for those things. And if you're a disciple maker and your group launched this week or it's launching in the next week or two, Mike and I love you. We care about you. We are praying for you. And we can't wait to see the fruit that God is going to bear through your life. So have a great week and get out there and do a great job.